Welcome to Through the Lane podcast with your co-host Lane. There will be the next episode that's going to be recorded Sunday is going to be big, somewhat big. But today it's going to be a little bit shorter one. We're going to start off talking about the PLL. It's the Pro Lacrosse League. And one of my friends, or a guy I know, hinted at it, saying, you should look at it, you should look into it this summer. And I never just got around to it, really busy on the weekends. But seeing that there's some big, some history being made, right? Jeff Teat is leading the league in scoring with 45 points in I think it's 7 games. And let me look here. Which you get points per, apparently you get a point for a goal and assist. He has 45 in 7 games. Which is insane. Yeah, he has 46 points in 7 games. It's all time, he's broken the record, which is wild, right? So it's only his 4th year doing it, fourth year doing it, and of course the league is really young, but 4 games, you have 46 points. That's crazy. What is it? 26 assists, so he has 20 points. I want to know, and looking at this, the New York Atlas must be crazy right now, because if you have a guy putting up those kind of stats, then, dominant. The PLL, it pops up a lot more on my feed. It's very exciting. It's growing because there's another pro lacrosse league, but it's not as big. And so one of the guys left there, and he made the PLL, and the PLL is growing, and it looks like a more proper league for lacrosse. And lacrosse is a growing sport. They're 5-2, which is huge. The best team in the league. So you look at it and say hi to the Cap. And it's just big. It's also a big headline because it's going to draw slowly more people to the sport. I think, it's only in its 4th year, so it's going to be really small, right? But again, this is a growing sport. You're seeing a lot of cool things. Lacrosse is a growing sport in America. On top of that, so 46 points is insane. Just seeing that, because someone compared that to in hockey, that same thing hockey too. You don't see that in hockey either, because they're very similar, I guess in a way. But as well as looking at it, as this is LeBron-esque numbers in a sense. He may go down as one of the greatest to ever do it, or one of the foundational players to help grow the sport, because it is growing significantly. I've seen a lot more about lacrosse in the past 2 years than I did ever before. So it's cool to see that it's growing a lot. But yeah, moving on next. Atlanta Braves, 2021 World Series champions. They looked like one of the top teams going in this year, and have been decimated by injuries. And it just got worse. Austin Riley's out for a paternity. I think that means his wife's having a kid. Jimmy Hergert is out has been out for a while. Herschel Waldrop, a guy they called up to fill in the 5th starter spot when Spencer Strider went down for the year, is hurt. Michael Harris, the starting center fielder, hurt. He's been out since mid-June. Ozzie Albies just went down the other day. He's out 8 weeks with a fractured left wrist. Max Fried, during the All-Star break, went down with left forearm neuritis, which is he doesn't have any real damage. It's just some discomfort, which is a good thing, but stuff like that, it takes a while to heal sometimes. So it's a very scary thing. Again, so now you're down your 2 aces, your original 2 aces, and Spencer Strider, who went down with Tommy John's, and Max Fried, who's now down with the left forearm injury. And so right now you're out of your starting 5, you're down to 3 guys. Chris Sale, who's going to be pitching at high innings coming into this year. Yeah, he's pitched a lot of innings before, but he's been hurt a lot. Ronaldo Lopez, who will probably pitch a career high in innings. And then Charlie Morton, who's 42. And then you add Spencer Schwallenbach, who's all right. And then someone along the line, you're going to have to, right now Dylan Dye got called up. Bryce Elder started a game, and it was awful. After he got an All-Star appearance last year, he's been terrible. But keep going on down the list. Ronald Acuna tears his ACL. Spencer Strider's out. Tyler Mazjak has been down. He's been playing catch from 90 feet for over almost a month. Ray Kerr went down with Tommy John's. Husker was coming back from Tommy John's. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Pierce Johnson missed time. Austin Riley missed time with a thigh issue. Jared Kelnick missed time. Right? You're looking at this and it's just guys constantly missing time. AJ Minter missed like 31 games with an injury. So you look at this and it's crazy to see this, a team that has struggled with depth. And, they're above 500. They're about 9 games above it, which isn't great. Just be decimated by injuries. And it's like death players. So they signed Whit Merrifield. And this is how much of a joke this is, right? They signed Whit Merrifield. His first day on the team, he hurts his hand. Almost had to get put on the IL. It's so bad. It is like so bad right now. So they were hoping to get healthy. I mean, AJ Smith-Sawyer's making his rehab assignment. Herschel Waldrop starting his. Jimmy Hergert starting his. Let's look. Husker Yanoa started his. So you're looking at, they're going to get some arms back, but they need scoring. And it's just, they need somebody in the right field. And right now they're just rotating guys through Eddie Rosario, Ramon Roriano. They just DFA'd Forrest Wall, who was there. They sent down Eli White, who they should have kept. Kelnick started out in right field. Adam Duvall, who's playing, he started out in left field. But because they lost Acuna, they need either a left fielder or a right fielder. They need one. Somebody that would be top of the lineup and provide some power and some batting average. We don't need defense. We've got 2 great defensive outfielders in Kelnick and Michael Harris whenever he comes back. And if he comes back, hopefully he can heat up. They called up Nacho Alvarez. I think probably a little bit too early. He went scoreless yesterday in his MLB debut, but still, he looked solid. Moving next, and this is big, and I will post a picture of this on here. The TNT is speculated to be returning to basketball. They matched Amazon's $1.3 billion brand deal, which is crazy, but they matched it apparently, which means they will return. And if they return, that's great. I mean, the whole staff there, the Inside the NBA crew is amazing. Mike Breen and the announcers crew is fantastic. I mean, it's better than the ESPN's crew. And they have the NBA Network that I think you could probably get all those guys on there, because I know Shaq sometimes will be on there and stuff and whatever. And I think that might be like a hub between them and ESPN, the middle ground. But I just you need that. This is a type of network that is crucial to a sport. I did not like that it got in parts of football, and the owner or whoever's running it needs to get fired, because he's been cutting a lot of things, like TV shows, TV networks, off of it, and just ruining TNT. So I think they lost like WWE kind of because of him, and so WWE's going to Netflix and everything. So yeah, again, it's exciting to see. I don't know if it's not been really confirmed, like bang, it's back, but it's like they matched the offer sheet from Amazon, which I'll be honest, and I'll say this here, Amazon I think is cool, and I know we're moving to streaming, but it's just another complex streaming service with another layer, and it's another streaming service instead of just having cable and being able to watch games. I feel like sports need to have it just needs to be on ESPN streaming wise, and then just have people like sponsor it or whatever, give them the equipment, just have Amazon's crew there, but it'd be broadcast on ESPN, something like that, because this is too much, having to own 4 streaming services just to see my teams play. Like, what's going to happen during the finals for basketball? Is it going to be on different, like, how are you going to divvy that up, right? Like, how are you going to separate it throughout everything? You're seeing this issue with college football, right? Like, it's so hard to get your certain teams that you have to own so many streaming services. And it's another issue with baseball. You've got to have like 4 streaming services to watch all the baseball games. And it's just a disease. It's just bad. I don't want to say it's a disease, but I'd say it's hurting the game a little bit. Also, another news, Tyson Campbell signed an extension, and this is big. And we're going to do like a Jaguars preview. 4 years, $76.5 million deal, $53.4 million guaranteed. That's huge. He's their number 1 corner. And let's look at the team here. To me, personally, he's a number 2 corner. I don't think he should be the team's best corner. He has the potential, but right now I don't think he's the team's best corner in sports, right? Because he's all right. He's good. But I've never seen him kind of just put up stats where I'm like, wow. This is a really good player. I mean, let me look here. Let me look up his stats real quick. MacBook's being slow. And this is a guy that I will say a little bit of bias. He came from Georgia, right? He was a little bit of a disappointment at Georgia because he never reached his full potential. He was the team's number 2 corner and went on. I wish, like what you see with Georgia with Kamar Lassiter kind of being the number 2, like how you saw like Kamar Lassiter and all the former corners, just where they'll be the number 2 and then they'll move up to the number 1 and they kind of take over. Like Julian Humphreys will probably end up being Georgia's number 1 corner in 2025. And then Ellis Robinson being the number 1 corner for like a year or two. Kind of guys just being the number 2 corner for their sophomore, junior year, and then their junior, senior year being the top corner. And he never did that. In 3 years in Jacksonville, it's only been 3 years. He has like what? Let me see here. 6 picks. He's 23, signed an extension at pretty young age. He was a 2nd round pick, 33rd overall. I mean, he was expected to go first, but again, so I mean, it's not like overwhelming, right? Like it's not insane. Looking at his college stats, he played 3 years. He had 0 interceptions. It's just never really, when you look at this, where you're like, wow, this guy is crazy. He had 4 tackles for a loss. He had actually 1 interception as his senior year. He had 10 passes defended. 3 forced fumbles, 2 of them came in his first 2 years. I mean, he played from the get-go. And playing at Georgia, this is when Kirby Smart first started. It was a little bit easier than starting as a freshman, but still playing with under Kirby Smart and playing a lot as a freshman and a sophomore. It shows that you're really talented, right? Like, only certain studs play. A lot of the guys at Georgia do not play their first year or two. And then they'll play a lot more. And they're just insane guys, right? Like Carson Beck did not play his first 3 years really, and then he's played his, last year, his true senior year, and then this year, he's a redshirt senior, so he'll, have 5 years. So you're seeing that kind of level progression come in, and you're just like, well, he played early on, so you would think he looked good. He was very raw coming out of college, but I mean, I think it's a great extension. They needed him. Looking at this team, right? Let's pop it up here. I mean, you look at it corner-wise, you have Ronald Darby, who's all right. You have Terrell Edmonds as a safety, Andrew Wingard, Antonio Johnson, Andre Cisco, Darnell Savage. I think it's a great pickup. Trey Flowers, forgot that he was at Atlanta. And then defensively, losing. This is Josh Allen. Has him Josh Hines Allen, which is weird. But Devin Lloyd, he's been kind of disappointing. He's not as insane as we thought. He showed Micah Parsons-esque athleticism, and we haven't really seen it. Foyoside Aluakon, just a tackle machine, came from Atlanta. Great pick. He's a 7th round pick. Great story, right? They bring in Eric Armstead, which I thought was a humongous signing because, you fill in the interior defense. And then, they bring in Roy Robertson Harris. Which was a solid pickup, right? They draft Mason Smith. I think he's from LSU. Yeah, Mason Smith, that big boy. And then Miles Cole, Jordan Jefferson. Then offensively, Trevor Lawrence getting his extension. Them also having Mac Jones as the backup. Then you have Travis Etienne, Dearness Johnson, Tank Bigsby. That's a very solid running back room and quarterback room because you also have C.J. Beathard, who is a great backup. Tight end, Evan Ingram, who is a great tight end, is there. Mitch Morris is the starting center now. Ezra Cleveland is the starting left guard. They kind of redid their interior of the offensive line, bringing Brendan Sheriff, Mitch Morris, Ezra Cleveland. Then you have Cam Robinson, who was one of the better tackles a few years ago. You have Anton Harrison. I think they can upgrade at right tackle eventually. And then receivers, you have Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk, Devin Duvernay, Parker Washington. You're looking at this. Austin Travel, Joshua Cephas. It looks good. I don't think they had a first round pick this past year. It does not look like they did. They also have Denzel Mims as well. I mean, this looks like a very solid team. That part of the AFC is very it's the AFC South. It's going to be very good because the Colts are good, the Jaguars are good, Titans are getting good, and the Texans are great. I think the Texans are the best team in that division by a mile, just because they have so much depth. That receiving core is insane. I don't know. I'm looking at this. I think the Jaguars will be the second or third. Second, they'll either be second best or second worst in their division. It just depends how Will Levis does for the Titans and if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, right? Both quarterbacks are kind of young and inexperienced. They're very raw guys. And so seeing how they develop in health-wise, because both of them struggled with that last year, will be a major part in them going in the team success this upcoming season. Trevor Lawrence has to get back on where he was 2 years ago, and really what his hype and potential was coming out of college. Brother had an insane college career, showed flashes of talent. I don't know if Jacksonville was the place for him. They haven't given him a true number one receiver till now, right? He did have Calvin Ridley, but he missed a year. You draft Brian Thomas. Oh yeah, he was a first round pick. And so you look at that and you're like, okay, all right. But you're like, I need something that jumps out of the page. It jumps out at me. Like, if they brought in Stephon Diggs, great. Like, oh, okay, Trevor Lawrence, here you go. But you got a rookie as your number one receiver. And I just don't know if Peterson is the guy for him, right? I'm just not sure. Javon Foster is supposed to be the backup right tackle that they brought in for the future. Moving on, Hassan Redick has still not returned, and this is bad. Talking to Carmine, he is, something you can tell he's very nervous about. It just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good at all. At all, right? Just terrible. I wouldn't say terrible, just not good at all. And we'll see what happens. He'll probably end up returning towards the end of training camp. But training camp's starting now, so again, him not showing up does not look good because now you're paying this guy everything. Hoping maybe it'll give Will McDonald more playing time. But again, the guy like Hassan Reddick you brought in, you're supposed to have this dominant defense, and him not being there hurts the team a lot. As well as Shaq Barrett retired. And looking at, he was a good player. It's insane to see he's already retired after 9 seasons. Outside of his insane 19.5 sack season, he has not been. He was a very good pass rusher, but not a great pass rusher. So, it's sad to see him already retired. That 19.5 sack season was crazy, like insane. And I might post a picture of his stats on, but again, it was just sad. Wild to see because no one really expected it. He played for Denver, I think, this past year. Had an all right season. But yeah. Also, I want to talk about this. A little bit. Summer League just ended, and it was a very good Summer League. I didn't have the chance to watch most of it, but looking at this, Pll James, I will say, had a better last 2 games. Had like 52 points. It was really good. So, I liked what I saw, right? The 3-point shot was moving. He was shooting. Defense is obviously there. I had Pat Bev. I think Pat Bev comparisons. And I'm going to say this. Pll James will be the next generation Pat Bev. Just because he's not great offensively. He can shoot 3, so I think he'll be a better shooter than Pat Bev. But defensively, he's a dog. But again, he's a fringe player. He's not a guy you want to start, right? He's a good role player. That's his potential. That's his ceiling, right? Maybe his ceiling's an all-star version of Pat Bev, but outside of that, I think he will settle in as a Pat Bev player, but it's going to take a while for him to get there. Kind of like how it took Pat Bev a while to get there. But outside of that, a guy that, Don Connect came on towards late. Nemes Quinta had a great time. Reed Shepard looks amazing, right? He looks fantastic. Alexander Sarr he looks young and raw. He doesn't look as polished as Wembanyama. Reacher looks all right. I think he'll be coming off the bench to start the year. Another guy, 2 guys that did really good. Adam Flagler for the Thunder. He signed late last year with the Thunder, went nuts. Jalen Wilson, who played really good for the Nets last year. It was a 2-way deal. He had 21.8 points per game. He won an award, and he just went nuts. And then you look at this, Jordan Miller. I think he's a second-round pick, 25 points per game, 55% from the field, 60% from the 3. I think he deserves an opportunity looking at that. Scottie Pippen Jr., building off of a great season last year when he did play with the Grizzlies, having 21 points per game. Gigi Jackson playing well, still inefficient. I still think he is best fitted as a bench player. Jaden Springer's one game, he looked great. Brandon Miller's one game, he looked fantastic. Ricky Council, I mean, he's oozing with talent. And I want to go on this. Josh Christopher needs to be on a team. Like, the fact that he's not is kind of insane to me. He deserves to be in the league. He's a scorer. He had 2 really good years with the Rockets. I think he deserves to be there. It's sad to see that he's not in it, but I think because of how well he did and how much fanfare he has, that he'll earn a spot on the roster. Looking at this, Ajayi Mitchell, I think from the Thunder, looked really good. Khalil Ware looked fantastic. Jeff Dowtin, he had 17 points. Real inefficient, but he earned a 2-way contract for the 76ers as of this morning. Money Bates showing great progression. Very inefficient, but, I mean, the talent's all there. Looking at this, Hunter Tyson was not that good. Very inefficient. Cody Williams kind of bounced back. David Roddy was all right. Chris Livingston. I mean, looking at this, there's a lot. Looking at for the next episode, I'll go in more detail of the summer league, like I promised. Javon Freeman Liberty got cut. Zachary Reacher, 39% from the field. Maxwell Prosper does not look good either, 36. He did not play much as a rookie, as a first rounder. Jasmus Ramsey has been knocking on the door for an NBA roster spot, and he's like hit or miss. 15 points in 16 minutes was pretty solid, 62% from the field. Pat Spencer, he's fighting for a roster spot as well. Theo Maledon, 14 points. Man, he looked like a great early first-round pick when he was, working his way up, and now he doesn't. He's almost out of the league. Looking at Noah Clowney, there was 3. Last year was a really good draft for him. Get Derek Whitehead, Noah Clowney, and Jalen Wilson. I feel like someone else. They didn't play much because they had an older team, or they had guys there. But Jalen Wilson played more as the season wore on at the power forward. Noah Clowney started to play some. They have Day'Ron Sharp as well, who I think is a great defensive center and rebounder. I think the Nets have a great young core. They need a guard to kind of help them build up and kind of just develop. But yeah, Terrence Shannon had a very solid summer. Craig Porter Jr., Dimitro Scavinetzi, who played for the Knicks a little bit, great. Kennedy Chandler trying to make it back to the league, I'll go in and look at some guys who really piqued my eye Thursday, because I'm off Thursday. But yeah, that is all for today's episode. This is another short one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.